what's going on, my friends? It's your boy, Dave Sharpe. Welcome to Wake Up Legendary and happy post-Labor Day, my friends. I hope you had a wonderful day, no matter what you did. And today we're back. We have a amazing guest this morning, a hairstylist who is, she's styling her way to success, okay, through building trust with her audience. Let's hear her story and how she's doing it. Toni, welcome to the show.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm fantastic. Where are you calling in from?
Reno, Nevada.
Okay. From one hot area to another down here in St. Petersburg, Florida. So obviously, it's a privilege to have you here, and I think you're our 804th guest here that we're interviewing. How's it feel to be the 804th guest on the show here?
Oh, it's amazing. It's a privilege to be here. So when I first started this, I was like, I'm going to be on Wake Up Legendary. But I have to say, now that I'm here, I am terrified, a little nervous.
Well,
I'm like,
I know that you were born for this, so you're going to be great. You already are great. And, just the simple fact that you showed up and you're walking through these fears and this uncomfortability is this is your growth journey, and I'm privileged to be a part of it. So tell us what kind of led you to Legendary. What were you looking for? Have you found it? Tell us all the things.
So, okay, I want to say what really led me here was actually my husband. Last fall, he was looking up on like making money online and kind of like going down the route of print on demand. And I don't know if my phone just heard it, but all of a sudden on Instagram, Becca started showing up, and I was very intrigued by the whole idea of, working from home and making good money and not having to trade your time for money. I was definitely burnt out from hair, especially since COVID and being told that you can't work, and I'm the sole provider in my house. So that was definitely a little scary. So I wanted to find something a little bit more secure on anything that might happen in the future. And yeah, I was kind of over it. And then actually it was a week before Christmas, I had a horrible client, the worst client I've ever had. She was definitely a Karen client. And now I thank God that I had her, because she's what really pushed me in and put the nail in the coffin. And now I'm here. And once I actually, when I purchased the blueprints, I didn't even tell my husband. I was terrified of telling him. Because I didn't want him to talk me out of it. So I was like, no, because we really didn't have the funds. I'm actually surprised my credit card went through. So I know it was almost like it was meant to be. So and I have showed up every single day. It definitely was a slow start for me, because I launched my business on February 6th and made my first commission within 5 days of that. But like the first 4 months, I really didn't make anything. It was definitely me having to come out of my shell. A lot of growth definitely has happened in the past 6 months. And I had to really learn to be myself. So that was definitely a struggle for me, which is so funny because I am a hairstylist and I'm good at talking to people, but I'm good at getting people to talk about themselves. Me talking about myself and literally looking in a mirror practically when you're looking at your phone was really hard for me. So, telling my story was really, really hard. And I feel like every day I keep on saying, show more of yourself, show more of yourself. But, so now I'm here and I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. So you see yourself making this a second career for you versus just a side hustle, or maybe eventually a new career instead of just a hobby?
Definitely. Yes. Actually, I'm hoping to retire the beginning of next year with hair. So that's my goal.
I think the pandemic changed a lot of people's perspective. I was thankfully already transitioned fully to entrepreneurship and online marketing. And so many people who at one time thought, internet marketing, kind of, what's that? Is that a
Mhm.
scam? I mean, what are you really doing? What are you selling? And it took sort of a life altering, terrifying situation, followed up by very frustrating circumstances, because a lot of people were sent home, and then it's kind of like, you're essential. No, you're not. Like, everybody got
Mhm.
like kind of group. It's like, I'm not essential. Like, I mean, that kind of stings a little bit.
It
And then we're
does.
all
It does
sitting
sting.
there waiting on a check from the government, and it's like, what is this? Like, I wasn't really born for this. This kind of feels like a form of food stamps, and not to say
Mhm.
that if somebody's getting government assistance, that they should feel shame about that. But I think that the majority of us in this community want to be self-supporting, want to
Mhm.
achieve, want to strive, want to live a life of freedom. And then they started telling us, well, we got to come back to work. And it's like, well, I don't really want to come back to work. I kind of like being at home. And sort
Mhm.
of people became more open to alternative ways to make money, whereas maybe before they weren't. They looked at it like, I don't understand it, I don't want to understand it. As you were beginning to go through the challenge, and sort of begin to take in some of these frameworks and these strategies and these business models, what were some of the light bulbs that went off for you as somebody who has worked in a brick and mortar business your whole life?
I want to say the whole fact that I didn't realize how people actually made money online. I actually didn't realize it. It was one
Right.
of those things where I was like, "What?" And then, like, going through with day 1 through 3, it was way over my head. Like, I had no idea what a funnel was beforehand. I mean, it was so over my head. I had to watch it 2 or 3 times just to kinda get the grasp the idea of it. And
Yeah.
then it was like, "Oh, I see it." Well, because I saw the fact of, like, going through yours, I was like, "Oh, well, that is what he's doing," and obviously it worked. So, and then what's funny about the email marketing, I kind of was like, "Oh, you don't need to do that." I was thinking that at first when I first was watching it, because I'm the type that doesn't read my emails. I am the
Mhm.
one, like, random type. Well, a lot of people read their emails. I am just a rare breed that obviously doesn't take the time. So, it's crazy how much that is actually gold when I was kind of sloughing it.
Mm.
And yeah, I don't know, it's pretty incredible, like, how many streams of income you could really add to your plate. I mean, I really just only had one. I just had hair, and I only got paid if my client showed up. I mean, I
Mm.
didn't get paid if I was even just sitting there. So it was really, I mean, it's really awesome that, I mean, yesterday, just making commissions, just out shopping and doing who knows what. It's pretty
Right.
awesome.
Like to give this analogy that a lot of times, as folks go through the challenge, for example, they begin to put on the marketing shades. And now
Mhm.
suddenly it's like, you can see how these people who you thought at one time on YouTube or maybe TikTok, maybe these people are just posting videos just to be funny. Maybe they're looking for attention. I don't know. Maybe I might even be judgmental towards them, or maybe I just might not even ever think about it. Maybe I just might just kind of log on just to sort of waste a little time, just to sort of check out, just for a little information. All the while, these folks are actually making thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars, and I could never see it because, well, I I didn't have that perspective yet.
Yep,
And so going
exactly.
through this process gives you these metaphorical marketing glasses that, as you mentioned, and I've heard this countless times in 804 episodes interviewing our students, that now all of a sudden I kind of understand how the internet works. I realize that when somebody's telling me there's a link in the description on YouTube, or to click the link in my bio on TikTok, that they're actually, oh my gosh, there's a full-blown business model behind this. And these people have a lot more going on than what I initially thought. Does that feel like
Mhm.
it resonates with you?
Oh yeah, totally. Like, yeah, I mean, even when it comes to YouTube, I mean, how many times you hear like, "Oh, all the products I'm using are linked down in the description." It's like, "Oh my god." I thought it was just for my own, like, find it easy. Like, oh, now I get it. I'm like, oh my God.
Yes, it's great. It's powerful to suddenly be able to understand. It's sort of like the same thing that we do with like real estate and the stock market. There's all of these things that we sort of kind of know that people are making billions of dollars with, but we kind of would, society almost vilifies those kind of people. Like everybody on Wall Street's just a greedy asshole, right?
Mhm.
Or real estate, it's like, the only way to make money in real estate is flipping houses. And the internet, it's the depths of despair. These, internet, snake oil salesmen out here. And you know what the truth of the matter is nearly every single business and now influencer and quite frankly even celebrities are now using their social media profiles to be able to build their own independent individual brand and audience, and
Mhm.
then are monetizing their audience through selling their own products and services. For example, musicians.
Mhm.
Nowadays, most record labels won't even talk to a musician unless they already have an existing following and brand on social media, because
Mhm.
it's sort of the way that the music label will kind of say, hey, does the market like you or not yet? Are they interested in your music? If you don't have that, they won't look at you. Same with celebrities. People are no longer relying on large companies like Disney or large companies, these huge movie studios to offer you a script and a movie. These celebrities are going out and building their own brands on social media and making their own independent money. It's almost like all these people, all of us, even now this is available to regular people,
Mhm.
are getting away from the agencies and the various different corporations that we've worked for and sort of going independent. And that feels good, it seems like, to a lot of people. I know it does for me. How has this opened up your feelings of independence, feelings of freedom, and how are you, taking that and running with it right now? Whether that be, looking forward into the future and saying, I really want to do affiliate marketing and take this business on the road and travel with it, or I just really want to be home and spend more time with my family. And I'm starting to be able to integrate filming videos and working on my phone while spending time with my family. How is your independence? What are some practical ways that your independence and freedom has already started to increase?
Well, like, oh, even last year, just with the increase in housing, with me only having this income, and oh, I felt trapped. I felt trapped in Reno. Like we felt like we couldn't move. We couldn't, because I mean, if I move, I have to rebuild all my clientele wherever I end up moving. So it was one of those things where we would have to like have a huge nest egg to move. So we felt really trapped. So now all of a sudden I don't feel trapped anymore. Like now we like the possibilities are endless. We literally can move anywhere. We can could do anything. Like it's really awesome. It's awesome to know that like now we can like not just a dream of buying a house, we can actually buy a house.
Mm,
We can have like a plot of land like we've always like talked about and dreamed about. It's cool the fact that the dreams are now becoming like an actual vision. I can actually see it in the future instead of it just being like a pipe dream where it's like, oh, that would be nice. Like I really felt like I was thinking that this time last year. I was like, oh, it'd be so nice to buy a house. But I really deep down was like, I don't know, if the housing keeps going the way it is, there's no way. There's no way I'm going to be able to get a piece of that pie. And now I can get a piece of that pie. And it's pretty amazing to like in such a short amount of time. I mean, it's only been, well, actually, as of tomorrow is 7 months since I launched my business. So it's 7 months is not that long. It's going to pass by anyways. So you might as well be doing something. So I don't know. It's pretty amazing. So yeah, now I'm like, the possibilities are endless on where we can even travel. And there's so many things that I thought of. Like, I want to get stem cell therapy for my husband. There's so many things that I'm like, it's not just a pipe dream anymore. It's something that really can be, that is a possibility. And the fact that I'm starting to really believe that is pretty amazing too. Because I feel like, the first like couple months I started this, I think I was living off of more of hope. And I think that wasn't helping my success because I wasn't in the right vibration at all because I was hoping. And instead of really believing that it was going to work.
Mm,
And now I really believe that it's working and it is working, going to work.
yeah.
And it's ever since that shifted, I feel like even the income has started to shift as well.
Mm,
Like it's all, I don't know, even like the energy of the people that are DMing me has shifted as well. It's like,
yeah.
it's, I don't know. I feel like I'm attracting more serious people that can either feel my energy or I don't know, but it's obviously something's clicking.
Well, let's talk about that. I think it's your conviction and your confidence, right?
Mm,
It's
yeah.
your belief in what you're doing, and people can always sense if you believe in something or if you don't really believe in something and you are just operating on a hope and a wish. You know,
Mhm.
um, it's and especially if somebody challenges you a little bit, which people are always going to do. I mean, look at just small children. I mean, they just sit there and push just endlessly, right? And
Mhm.
so do adults. They push in their own way. We know
Mhm.
that whether somebody knows our buttons to push or not, we all have buttons, and if somebody pushes them and they sense a lack of conviction or they sense you backpedaling, or even before they push a button, if they sense that you're not fully convicted about what it is that you're talking about or doing, then it's not even said, it doesn't even have to be said. You're right, it is a vibration, it is an energy. People
Mhm.
can sense that. And so let's talk a little bit about that transition and how your conviction and confidence has increased. What did you change? Because it had to have been something that you did. I mean, things don't just happen, right?
Mhm.
I mean,
Mhm.
I always say that it's easier and much more effective to act ourselves into a new way of thinking than it is to think ourselves into a new way of acting. And I
Mhm.
think that the approach of a lot of people who start a business is, as you said, hoping, thinking, meditating, sort of, there's no weeds in my yard, or there's a Lamborghini in my driveway. There's a Lamborghini in my driveway. Damn it, there's no Lamborghini in my drive. I knew this affirmation shit was just a scam, right?
Yeah.
Versus what it seems like you're talking about, and I'd like you to say more about it, which is doing the work and beginning to see results, even if they're small, beginning to see evidence from your actions. And then from those actions, acting, you begin to change your thinking. It's almost like get your body moving and the mind will follow.
Yep.
Say more
Yep.
about how you've acted yourself into a new way of thinking, and maybe a little bit more about what it looked like when you were just hoping and wishing. Help us to understand kind of what that transition or that growing phase sort of looked like for you to where you did you know uh, develop more conviction and more confidence.
Well, yeah, I was definitely more confident. And I want to say probably uh it was probably when I like really started to do voice messaging and DMs. And the more that I kept talking about it, the more confidence I had about talking about it instead of like the little voice inside my head that's like, oh, are you saying that right? Are you actually like, like I tend to overthink when I speak and I get too much inside my head and then I don't um yeah, I feel like I don't sound convincing and I feel like I am like coming off as a fraud almost like in the very beginning. So it wasn't until I really really understood the mechanics of this and how it works and why it works, and really the understanding of the word value and really understanding what that means on giving value to your audience. Because what's funny is I didn't understand it. Like, even though somebody said it, I was like, you need to give value. What do you mean by that? Like,
Say
what
more about
exactly do
that.
you mean?
Yeah, talk about that. Say more
So,
about.
well, it's one of those, like, now I'm like understanding like where they're from. And I think too, it was also trying to remind myself about where I came from, where my level of understanding was when I first entered this. And there was no understanding. I mean, I wasn't even on social media before this. I've never done any kind of marketing. I've never done any kind of sales. I've been a server. I've been a hairdresser. I've just like helped people. That is literally all I've ever done. And computers, I didn't even own a computer before this. Like, I literally had to buy a computer. So my level of understanding was not even there. And I have to remind myself on the fact that I know my shit. I mean, and there was a saying that I heard that as long as you know 10% more than your audience, they're going to look up to you no matter what. So it's only 10%. And you have to just remind yourself that you do know your shit, and you can you can guide them. I mean, that's ultimately what you're doing, because that's the other thing too. Don't think of yourself as you're selling to people, because you're not selling. You're guiding them. You're showing them an opportunity. It's up to them on taking that and doing something with it or not. I mean, I didn't for the first couple of months. I watched Becca for like 2 months. And finally it was like, well, thank God to that Karen client, which now I'm like, thank you so much for sitting in my chair and pissing me off that day, because that is what put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's really once I understood value, and then once I understood the fact that people want to feel like they're cared for. That is it. Like, as long as you are just show the fact that you care, that's all they want. That is really all they want. And if you can show that, I don't know, like, not only that, the responses that I'm getting back. I mean, even if they don't end up purchasing the course, like, just the fact that they know I'm here to answer whatever questions they need, and that I was just being nice to them, because that's a lot of the things I hear is the fact that, oh, thank you so much for just responding.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for like explaining things to me. A lot of times people just don't take the time, especially on the internet. So that's really it. But yeah, I definitely did not understand what value meant when I first started. I now like understand what my audience needs at certain levels of depending on where they're at in their journey. And I'm starting to like, oh, okay, well, I'll target like my very beginners, and that's what I'll give them value on today. And then I'll like target the people that have started the course, but they're still kind of like, their toes are just in the water. And then the ones that are like pretty much at the blueprints and already building their stuff, and I can give them value. So it's really cool if you kind of break them up into like beginner, middle, and then intermediate. So
That's really some awesome points. And you do know your stuff. You do know your shit. It's the truth is that we've been surviving and thriving in many respects in all of our lives. I mean, and I do truly mean that. Most of the time we don't give ourselves credit for the amount of thriving that we are doing. I mean, and again, even surviving is a great skill set. It's something that makes you tougher, more experienced, more knowledgeable, smarter, more prepared for new situations. And I mean, if you are still alive and you made it into your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 100, you are a survivor. I'm a survivor. No, I'm not going to do Beyonce here, but you know what I mean? It's like, we really have more life skills than we give ourselves credit for. We really have more communication skills than we give ourselves credit for. You being the ultimate. I mean, when you said I've been in hair, I've been a server, but I've never done sales, I thought to myself, those two jobs are the hardest sales jobs and service jobs that exist in this world, because you're literally selling yourself, especially in a server position. I mean, you literally are selling just, the menu's there, but you're
Mhm.
selling yourself, your kindness, your energy, how you treat people is all going to determine how much they want to give you in that tip at the end, unless they're just completely cheap, and then there's nothing you can change about that. But
Yeah.
so often we really don't recognize the gifts that we already have that we can bring into this. And so
Mhm.
feel like I'm just a newbie, I'm just a beginner. And we start kind of labeling ourselves, talking down to ourselves, about
Mhm.
ourselves. And of course, that energy then comes out in our videos and in our DMs, going back to what we were speaking about a minute ago, where we don't really have that full conviction and then people can kind of pick up on it. I love
Mhm.
how you're talking about yourself powerfully. I love how you're talking about yourself in this way of, I know my shit. Like that is the secret, friends. Surely
Mhm.
there are the mechanics of how do we set up our funnels, how do we set up our autoresponders, getting those things nailed down. But there's also these dynamics, which are our energy, our belief in what we're doing and ourselves. And
Mhm.
these things really are the intangible. It's the sort of it factor that we
Mhm.
so often overlook, that really can be the determining factor of our success. So tell me, Toni, what have you learned about yourself or been reminded about yourself that you may have either forgotten or didn't truly realize about yourself, in terms of how brave you are, how persuasive you are, how much of a fighter, how hard of a worker you are? Like, what are some of the things that you have realized about Toni in the last 7 months?
Uh, how resilient I am. Definitely. Yeah, and I tend to doubt myself a lot. I really am not, I don't have the best confidence. I didn't come into this with the best confidence. I definitely, like I don't have the best confidence when it comes to talking, like even when it comes to like videos. When you film a reel and you're like, oh, just do it, like, just wing it. Oh, I feel like I can't say anything. That's when all of a sudden I just start overthinking it. I just need to get, that analysis paralysis. I do too much of that. I need to stop. But ultimately, my resilience on the fact that no matter how I felt that day, I still showed up. And I mean, there was a lot of mornings where I cried in the shower to my husband. I was like, what am I doing? I feel like I'm trying to be something that I'm not. Like, I felt like it was just bigger than me. But it was one of those things when I purchased those blueprints, I told myself, there's no quitting. Well, and I kept on hearing your voice actually in my head saying, you don't want to quit before the miracle happens. And I kept saying that to myself. And then the Tony Robbins quote, if you're in your head, you're dead. And I'm like, stop being in your head. If you're in your head, you're dead. Stop it. Like, just do it. Just do what you need to do today. And yeah, it may not be the best reel, but you know what? You'll learn something from it. And now, even when I go to I scrolled down actually just recently, I just scrolled down to the very bottom and they are bad. Like, they're not good, but they really are. But at the same time, I'm like, oh my God, look how far I've come. I have come so far in 6.5 months. And even just talking to my mom, who, the other day I was talking to her and I'm just like spitting out knowledge. And it's like those moments where I'm like, oh my God. Like when you're talking to somebody that has no knowledge at all, and all of a sudden you're hanging out with them and you're talking to them, you realize how far you have come. And those are like the real confidence boosters. It's like, I'm doing this. Like, I'm actually doing this. Like, you need to like pinch yourself and realize that yeah, it's just keep going. Just keep going. Do not stop.
Wow, what an incredible answer. I mean, the resilience that you've learned about yourself, is so useful in those moments where you feel like it's not going to work out and you might as well quit. It's like, no, I'm a resilient person and I have evidence of miracles in my life, however I want to define that. And I do say that quite often, don't quit before the miracle happens. I have evidence that things can change when I change.
Mhm.
And I'm excited now about the journey to see what's to come. And then all of a sudden we get excited about the unknown instead of so terrified about it and so stuck inside of analysis paralysis. So make that practical for us. What have been some of the quote unquote miracles that have happened over the last 7 months? Milestones, miracles that have kept you going? Is it the first subscriber to your email list? Was it the first commission, the second commission? Was it people beginning to DM you? Was it the conversations with a friend or family member where you realized you knew your shit? Obviously, you just mentioned quite a few things that you could categorize as those
Mhm.
miracles. But is there anything that stands out to you that is like, "Oh shit, that's a game changer for me. Like I'm not quitting."
Um, actually, I would probably have to say it was my husband. So he okay, he's an ex drug addict. He was a pain pill drug addict, and yep, and he quit pain meds, but then he switched over to kratom, which is an all natural plant based pain reliever. And I was 2 weeks into doing this, and I'm sitting next to him in a chair, like really close to the backslider. This is in the winter. And I'm just showing him, like scrolling on my Instagram and just showing him like all the videos. And he instantly realized, he saw the writing on the wall that he needed to change as well. That next day, he quit everything. Like he has not done anything. So ever since then, so not only me making this choice and doing this, it has it has just blossomed, and the wave has gone into so many other aspects of my life, not just financially, not just time, not just even my passion for work has actually come back because I don't feel the pressure of work anymore. If I get a last minute client, I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Like I can work on business, like no big deal. Like it's really now I don't stress about it. And then the fact that he's getting better too, it's like now I feel like I can't stop. There's no way. There's no way I could stop. And then it's the whole, like this morning, me being nervous to come on here. It's like, okay, if you don't go on, are you going to go back to your life that it used to be? Are you going to go back to hairdressing and go back to the idea of having to cut hair until you're 70? Like that just sounds horrible. I don't want to do that. So, um, that pain is actually way worse than the pain of like facing something that I'm scared of and just doing it and just
Mm.
plowing through that other wall. But I feel, it's one of those things where you get through a wall and you're like, damn it, why is there another one? You keep on thinking that you're gonna be like, oh, I'm free. It's all good. Like it's gonna be smooth sailing now. No, it's always something else. I swear. It's like, so yeah, that was definitely a huge moment for me. And then I want to say after that was probably um definitely the first commission was definitely evidence that it works. I was like, oh my God, this does work. Like it came because I want to say it came like in middle of the night. And then my first four-figure commission came in at 2 a.m. So I was asleep. So I really did make money in my sleep. And it's like that was huge too. When I made my first four-figure commission, which it took a while. I mean, I think it took me like 160 days. So I mean, I worked for that. I did. I definitely worked for it. But I don't know. It's you tend to cherish things you work harder for. So that's the way I look at it. And I'm kind of now appreciative of my story taking so long. I feel like it's a little bit more relatable to people instead of like, the really fast success, which awesome for those people that have had amazing success so quickly. But I feel like when I do tell my audience and the people in my DMs, like, oh yeah, like just letting you know, it's not a get rich quick. I mean, some people do make a couple $1,000s their first month, but that was not my story. Not at all. But it's proof on the fact that if you do not quit, if you don't quit on yourself, it will end up working. It's just you gotta stick it out. Gotta stick it out.
Yeah.
So
Oh Man, you said a whole heart bowl full right there. I mean, that was really incredible. And, just to hear about the fact that you're not pulling people down, but lifting people up around you. And how freaking priceless is that? It's like
Oh, it's so cool.
we're judging our success usually in the first year, which, friends, if you can stick through the first year, it's almost I can't use the word guarantee. I want to say it's a guarantee that you'll be a millionaire. I can't say that, but if you can stick through the first year, 99% of people who start a business quit in the first 90 days. I mean,
Mhm.
just because, especially an internet business that is pretty low to no cost. I know that some of us think that a few $1,000s for some education is a huge investment, and it may be to you, but the truth is that's just education. The bare bones tools that it takes to build and operate this are very low to no cost. And if you go to try to open up any other business anywhere, you're going to be into the tens of hundreds of thousands. Think about opening a hairstylist salon. I mean, we're talking about
Just
chairs,
running just
equipment,
running my
and
business on the daily.
yeah, in buildings and all this kind of stuff. So I think there's a lot of hidden value in this. And again, a lot of us, because we are looking for that fast success, because these internet businesses are so easy to start. And they
Mhm.
are. They're easy to sign up and buy something. When I say start, I mean sign up and buy something.
Yeah.
Just because you signed up and bought something, whether it was you opened a funnel building account or you bought our blueprints or went through our challenge, does not mean that you're actually now a business owner. It
Nope.
doesn't mean that you're now entitled to success, right?
Mhm.
It means that you've bought something. But basically, you've done the same exact thing as walking into a mall and buying a new pair of shoes, right?
Yep.
And a lot of times the same process happens where the dopamine, sort of dies off over the next few days. And, the new pair of shoes is not as exciting as it was when you walked out of the store with it. A lot of times we treat our business that same way. And
Mhm.
what I'm hearing you talk about is the resilience, persevering through the low moments of tears in the shower, of doubting yourself, of all the things that come along with doing anything hard and worthwhile, for God's sakes, in life. Think
Yep.
about having a dadgum kid.
I know.
That thing doesn't pop out in 9 minutes. That thing
Nope.
doesn't, that thing's got to bake. Surely planting the seed is fast, but I tell you that baby's got to bake for 9 months, and then you got to dadgum go through an incredible birthing process, and then you got to raise the dang thing for
18 plus years.
decades in some cases,
Yeah.
and they never really stop. Eh, eh, So it's like, and what are the most important things at the end of our lives? Well, it's usually, if we do have children, it's our children being by our. It's not the materialistic things that you walked into a store and bought quickly. It's the things, as you said, that you planted seeds and watered and fed and harvested and took care of. And those are the things that bring us the most joy and the most fulfillment. And again, so often we're looking at the bank account. We're just watching the commission dashboard and
Mhm.
judging our entire selves and our entire success and our entire potential off of a number, when the truth is that there's lots of little miracles that are happening along the way in the journey,
Mhm.
such as the story you just told about your husband, who is inspired by you taking life by the horns and
Mhm.
you not sitting around waiting for something to be, set in your lap, but
Mhm.
you're now inspired. He's inspired by you, and that passion and that resilience that you talked about, that you learned from about yourself through this process, is now spilling over. And please, somebody, put a price tag on that. Put a price tag on that, right?
Yep.
And the beautiful thing is that if we can, and now that story is such a valuable story that you can recycle and recirculate that story into your business and into your brand. And now that story is something that you can use to inspire other people to bring in more income, right? Because then people are more inspired. They're getting more value from your story. They're more willing to take your recommendations and buy products that you're recommending. And it's like this sort of, it's almost like instead of living life waiting for the other shoe to drop, like we so often do, it's like instead using these moments, whether it's the first commission, whether it is getting started and buying something and saying, I'm going to do this, whether it is having a positive impact on somebody else in your home and then being inspired by you, whether it is your first lead, whether it is your first high ticket commission, whatever it is, using those as building blocks to continue to build your success, because now all of a sudden you have more positive momentum and more positive things to share about. And it really is identifying and noticing those positive things happening and learning to be more optimistic instead of pessimistic, right?
Yes.
And always sort of noticing how things are always shit, right? It's very easy to also put on the shit colored glasses.
Oh yeah.
The world, only the negative in the world. But the truth is that we really learn through entrepreneurship what we have control over and what we don't. And the truth is that we don't have control over politics and presidents and all this other bullshit, economy and economists and Wall Street and blah, 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 corporations or even companies that we work for. But we damn sure have control over what we do. And it's amazing what can happen and change in our life when we stop worrying about and bitching about what everybody else is doing or not doing, and just put all that energy and focus into what we're doing and what we can change. And I would assume that as you're describing some of these other stories, that process has actually brought you more happiness and more fulfillment, right? Are you genuinely finding yourself a more positive and happy person through this process and learning to see the glass half full, as I talked about, instead of half empty? I can imagine you've heard some negative, you mentioned Karen and negative Nancy's and everything else in the salon, who are just kind of dwelling on negative stuff like all the time, not to put them down and talk badly about them. But are you finding yourself attracted to more positive people talking about more positive things and less of a tolerance for the pessimistic person who sees everything as glass half empty?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, because people changed after the pandemic. I mean, people are kind of, I mean, they're pissed off. I mean, ever since people are just, yeah, more pessimistic and just more negative and just really Debbie Downers. Like a lot of people are out there, and it's
Karen, Nancy, and Debbie so far.
yeah.
And God bless you if you're on here and your name's Karen, Nancy, or Debbie. We love you, but geez, we got the names flying left and right today.
Oh, but now I'm like, thank God for her coming in. Like literally, she totally just set my life the way that it is because of that. I mean, so did Becca. I mean, me coming across Becca, but I was too scared and too skeptical about it. I never thought that anything like this was possible. Me just being on social media was one of those things where, and that too, like there was a crossroads I was having even in my hair business where it's like, I need to be on social media more with my hair business. And I didn't want to do that. But then it's like, oh, but you want to do this. Okay. So no matter what, you need to face yourself and get over that fear of being online. But I didn't really want to do hair anymore. I lost that passion. So I was like, okay, well, if I'm doing this, and yeah, when I purchased those blueprints, it was like, I knew if I didn't purchase them, it was one of those things where I knew I wouldn't work hard enough with it just being $7 that you invest into something. I wasn't going to work hard enough, and I would have just ended up slacking off and not figured it all out. There's no way. So with when you put an investment like that into yourself, that was my first goal. Like I have to pay that back. No matter what, I have to pay that back. No matter how long it takes, I will pay that back. And well, it is especially since I hid it from my husband. I mean, I didn't. I mean, he knew about the $7 challenge, but he didn't know I purchased the blueprints. And it wasn't until like, I want to say about 2 months later. And of course, that didn't help either because I put so much more pressure on myself the first couple of months because I was like, oh, now I really have to make this work because I hid this from my husband. So once
Yeah.
I told him, which was about 2 months later, it did help kind of. Well, because then he was like, God, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you felt like you couldn't tell me. And I was like, well, I did not need anybody to tell me that, oh, it's a
Mm.
scam, or like, are you sure you really want to get it? I could not hear from anybody, like even my parents. I didn't tell them. I didn't tell anybody. I mean, it was one of those things. That's why I didn't want to be on Facebook because I was scared of everybody finding me. And then what's funny is Facebook ends up being the nicest to me. I mean, I'm almost at 100K followers. So the one that I was totally
All that.
skeptical about is doing the best.
Mm.
Well, TikTok, I was putting all my eggs in that basket, and yeah, I'm not friends with TikTok.
Before we move on to that, and then we'll bring this in for a landing, I just want to point out how powerful that was, what you just said about really protecting your decisions and
Hmm.
not even asking for close family members' opinions of what you want to do. Like some people would think that's a marital sin. It's like, oh my God, you didn't tell your husband, you didn't tell your wife, you didn't tell your, mom, whatever, which, we're adults. I don't know why we're still thinking that we need to consult with mommy to do things, but
I know.
we do. We want their approval. And I get it. I
Mhm.
understand it. We want people to kind of like validate our decisions, and we want people to be proud of us, and we want their approval and all the things. We're all human. However, what you just said may have been the most important thing we've talked about this whole morning, which is and you've really dump trucked a full load of platinum nuggets right in my driveway this morning, and hopefully everybody has had their mining tools out to pick out these little nuggets. But what you just said may have been one of the most important ones, which is how you protected your eyes and your ears from other people's opinions and also them projecting their limiting beliefs onto you. I heard
Mhm.
Jay-Z, which is one of my favorite, hip hop rappers and entrepreneurs, which is really more what he is now. And
Mhm.
he said that in an interview that, his own uncle, when he was young, Jay-Z said, "Hey, I want to sell 1 million records." Your uncle said, "You're never going to do that." He
Yeah.
was still in New York City, living in, I think, the Marcy Projects is where he's from, and you know, uh, not a lot of people from there in that time, and probably even today, are selling 1 million records. Right? It's probably
Mhm.
a dream of a lot of people, but not a whole lot of people are selling 1 million records. But Jay-Z's response to his own uncle was, "No, you can't sell 1 million records. You can't, but I can."
Mhm.
And he went on and he did it. Now he sold many, 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 many millions
Oh
of
yeah.
records.
Yeah, he
But
killed it.
the power in that response, similar to the power in how you just explained your approach to starting this business, is very powerful and very similar, because oftentimes when we share our ideas, goals, dreams, desires, the first thing that people do is and this is people, we can almost go out there and just do a test. Like, don't take something that's like very important to you and give it to somebody. Just take something that you're not even planning on doing, because when they do exactly what I'm going to tell you that they do, which is exactly what Jay-Z's uncle did, you won't be so hurt. But go out there and share a random idea. Share
Mhm.
something that's kind of a little bit out there, a little bit crazy, with a family member, maybe even a spouse, and see what their response is, right? Just as a test. And you will see instantly and almost immediately, not because they hate us, they love us. They want the best for us, but it's a natural human response that when you share an idea with somebody, they filter it through their own experience and their own fears and limiting beliefs and project those back onto you. That
Mhm.
has nothing to do with how much they love you. It has nothing to do with any of that. It's
Nope.
just a natural human process. And absolutely right. Calla said it. They are trying to protect us from ourselves. Unfortunately, it doesn't work that way. It's got a reverse effect because they're trying to protect us. They're doing their best. They're explaining to us what they feel our hurdles and their fears are going to be for us. And in turn, that can be very discouraging, especially if we have just handed them something that's really important to us. And so we have to, through this process, learn to take full responsibility for our own decisions. And that also goes once you start marketing and actually taking action. If something doesn't work out for you, but other people are succeeding with it, it's really an empowering thing to say, this is not what I'm doing that doesn't work. It's how I'm doing it. And I can tweak something. I can change something. I have the power to continue to test different versions, and ultimately taking total responsibility for whatever it is that you're doing is the fastest way to success. Not being a victim, not looking for outside validation, not looking for other people's approval. And I've heard that over and over and over again on the show from successful clients and marketers that said, hey, I didn't really ask for somebody's opinion, or I didn't really share this with my friends and family, or I kept things separate. I started a new Facebook account. I started a new Instagram account. I just wanted to have my own path free and clear of all of the people. And you can kind of think about this visually, what this looks like. When you're starting a business, you're about to go down a road. And if you are asking everybody else their opinion and what they think and all this kind of stuff, it's almost like you're going down a road that somebody that's already exists, that somebody else has paved, and everybody is standing in down the road and they're shouting their limiting beliefs onto you as you pass by, almost like a parade, right? Whereas what's more empowering and exciting and helps you to learn a lot more, a lot faster, is to blaze your own trail. That's where the term trailblazer came from. It's sort of like taking some experience from a fellow entrepreneur who doesn't quite come and hammer the nail for you, but instead gives you a blueprint and says, this is how to blaze your own trail. This is how to do it, right? This is the why that you would want to do it. And now get out there and blaze your own trail. And then all of a sudden you're doing it and you're building your own belief systems. You're coming up with your own opinions. It's sort of like listening to what somebody else thinks about somebody and thinking they're an asshole for years. And then you finally meet them and it's like, this person isn't so bad. I actually like being around this person. Why the hell did I listen to that other person? Right? There's a really big difference between, following a path or going down a parade where you're asking for everybody else's validation. They're shouting their limiting beliefs on you versus, and in a sense, we're also asking for somebody to kind of do the fishing for us versus getting a blueprint and blazing our own trail and sort of learning how to fish. And then when we finally do go talk to somebody about it, similar to how you said with your mom, we actually are just spitting knowledge. We're not asking for their opinions. We're not looking for their validation anymore. They're not going to understand what we're doing anyways. They never will. Trust me, nearly 15 years into this, the majority of my friends and family still think I'm like a motivational speaker or something, right? They think that I go around and do events, and it's like, that couldn't be further from the truth, right? I actually have a real business that's behind the show and the content and all that. And, it's too much to try to, explain to somebody who is not really looking to understand it, but more just is going to filter it through their own experiences. So I love that you brought that up, and my rant there was hopefully helpful to those of you listening to add some additional context to what you just said. Talk to us a little bit about what it's been like for you to kind of, as you said, get on Facebook, which was previously a platform that you weren't even on, and to now have nearly 100,000 followers. Surely you've had your issues with TikTok. Who hasn't? That's fine. We don't need to go into that. The truth is TikTok is just a little finicky right now because they're dialing up their regulation. It was the wild, wild west over there for a long time. And now they're starting to, they don't want to get kicked out of America. So they're basically trying to reel things back. There's so many users on the platform that they're letting users police users. And if somebody flags you, you lose. It's just all social media platforms go through these cycles where it's the wild, wild west, and then you get a little bit more regulated. What's it been like for you to sort of find your groove on Facebook?
Overwhelming, honestly. It's been shocking too. Like I did not well, because Instagram took so long to build. Like now it's really starting to get some traction, but it took a while. I mean, it was sticking at 2000 for the longest time, where I'm like, what am I doing wrong? And that's the other thing too. I feel like so many people want to blame like the algorithm and blame something else. And it's no, what am I doing wrong? What's obviously somebody doesn't like my content. People don't like it for a certain reason. But on Facebook, I don't know, Facebook loves me. Like, ever since like, I don't know, it was one of those things. I feel like I didn't really try that hard, but just I don't know, maybe it's the fact that I am on there more. I don't actually know exactly what it is, but yeah, I don't know. A lot of the ones that have taken off is like more of my side hustle videos that I did in the very beginning. And now I'm kind of changing my content a little bit and dialing down a little bit more. And it's funny to see the difference in audiences on each platform and what they end up liking. And yeah, and start now that I'm not so hyper focused on all the like technical aspects, making sure my funnel's working, making sure my emails are good. Now I'm able to actually see the patterns in the content and how people are actually reacting to things and what they're reacting to and what they actually really like. I mean, they definitely like seeing more of my stuff. And it's, yeah. So Facebook, I want to say it's more of, I don't know. I actually really don't know why. I don't know why everybody likes me on there, but it's pretty amazing. I mean, the fact that I'm about to hit 100K is absolutely crazy. I mean, when I hit like 35, I was like, what? 35,000 people? Like, that is a lot of people. I mean, I can't imagine speaking in front of 35,000 people. I mean, that's insane. I mean, I'm having a tough enough time just talking to you. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just, I don't know what it is. Actually, I really don't know what it is. Cause I'm with having so many people on Facebook. I haven't even gone live on there because I'm literally terrified to do it.
Wow, that's so
So
nice to hear you say that, and for us to be able to look at you having this incredible success, but to know that you were so nervous coming on here this morning, that you're terrified and haven't even gone live yet on Facebook. I mean, it's so real, it's so honest, it's so transparent, it's so beautiful to see somebody going through their journey right at the beginning stages. I mean, a lot of people think, oh, 7 months, she's been doing it for a long time. Friends, I've been doing it for almost 15 years. Like, I think I'm in year 13. It's like, you know I can tell you that in the next 7 months, your life and business is going to change so much. You are going to come back on here in a few months, because I want you to keep me posted on your journey, and you are going to be a totally different person than you are today. You're going to
I
be
definitely won't be as nervous.
no, I mean, I think being nervous just shows that you care. So whether you are or aren't, it's beautiful. But you'll be in such a different place. You'll be in a different place financially. You'll be in a different place as far as your confidence. It's just amazing to see how far you've come in 7 months. And for me to know without a shadow of a doubt, this is not like me, like I know without a shadow of a doubt the next 7 months if you think this is growth, if you think this is life changing, you wait until the next 7 months and it is going to multiply. Because remember, these first 7 months was a lot of you getting ready to get ready. I mean, really you're not even done. I mean, you're still terrified of going live, for God's sakes. You're not, you're in terms of the total, the total timeline and life cycle of your success, you're a pimple on the freckle of a gnat's ass right now.
I know.
Man,
I'm teeny.
it's like a speck of sand. It's ridiculous.
Mm.
As we bring this in for a landing, what advice would you give yourself 7 months ago that you needed to hear, that now with the experience that you have, you can tell yourself?
That you could do this. That it will happen for you. I wanted it to happen so bad, but it was one of those things I wanted. I didn't fully believe. I mean, that's really, just definitely believe in yourself. If you believe in yourself, it will start working a lot faster. So it definitely mindset, and just, yeah, hang on for the ride. It's gonna be fun. It definitely was a ride. I have grown so much in 7 months, and I know I'm not even close to stopping. So I feel like every day I'm learning something new, if not about me, about what I'm doing. Just it's nonstop. So
It's beautiful. It's wonderful. It's inspirational. Thank you for sharing so honestly with us today. My absolute best to you and your family, your
well,
loving
thank you.
husband. Just so happy for you that you all that you're seeing, you're experiencing growth, you're experiencing fulfillment, you're experiencing challenges that you're pushing through, you're resilient, you're persevering through, and you're growing through these different moments. You're not giving up before the miracle happens. There's many more miracles to come, and come
Mhm.
back and see me in the near future and keep us posted on your journey. Okay, my
Definitely.
friend, stay legendary.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me on.
You're so welcome. We'll talk to you
It was
soon.
a pleasure. Take care.
All right, my friends, there you have it. You can find Toni over at Toni Thelander. That's ToniTheLander. Okay, Toni Thelander over on Facebook. I'll just direct you to her Facebook account so you can see what she's doing on Facebook and follow her and give her some support and learn from her and comment on her post and like her post and do all the things that we can do to support each other in this journey. That's really one of the most powerful and supportive things that you can do for somebody if you do go and follow them. So often well, every day, every guest, we post their handles and what their profiles are. And I know that we all want to run over there and see what they're doing and try to pick up tips, but as you're doing that, just make sure that you show a little love to these people, because these people are regular clients, students here. I didn't even talk to Toni before we went live today. I just literally showed up, said, let's rock, and we went live. There was there's no private conversations. There's no back room deals. There's no side door conversations. There's nothing like that. This is all completely real. You can reach out to Toni and ask her for yourself. And so is all I ask is that when you go over and you follow Toni and the rest of our guests here who we share their handles, make sure that you show some love. Make sure that you show some support, some encouragement to them, because while they're giving so much of themselves, coming back to our community and giving back like they do, they need inspiration. We need inspiration. Hell, I need inspiration and support the same way that you all need inspiration and support. So let's do that for each other. And with that being said, we'll see you back here, my friends, tomorrow for another episode. Get on out of here. Be legendary. Peace.